What's going on, YouTube? Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, smash that bell notification, hit that Cash App right down there in the description box if you wanted to continue to support free speech and your boy, Chamble. And the other day, I had a discussion on my channel with this guy, Wes from the Heights. Now, Wes from the Heights believes that Black Lives Matter was started by the government. I don't necessarily believe that, but it got me thinking. It got me thinking, if you wanted to start a movement that was to destroy black people, what would you do? And I started thinking about this, man. The first thing you would do if you wanted to start a movement to destroy black people is you would try to get all the black fathers out of the home. If a black child doesn't have his father in the home, it makes them 20 times more likely to end up in prison, 4 times more likely to live in poverty, 3 times more likely to deal drugs, 2 times more likely to be obese, 2 times more likely to have an abortion. Children without fathers represent 71% of all high school dropouts, 70% of all pregnant teens, 85% of children with behavioral disorders, 90% of all homeless children, 63% of youth suicides. They're 14 times more likely to commit rape, 9 times more likely to end up in a mental institution, and 33 times more likely to be abused. Fatherless homes is one of the major things that's killing the black family, that's killing black people. So if I wanted to start a movement, the first thing I would do is I would figure out a way how to get the black father out the home. That's number one. Just so happens, that's also Black Lives Matter number one priority. Or it's right up there, okay? So the second thing that I would do, if I wanted to start a movement to destroy black people, the second thing I would do is I would trick black people into believing non-essential issues are in fact essential. What this does is this shifts their focus away from the larger pressing issues facing the community and redirects that energy into something that isn't even a large problem. Once you take their time and their focus and their energy, they don't have any left to realize the importance of what is truly destroying them. This way, blacks never get to devote a large amount of energy towards prioritizing education and the illiteracy rate, abortion rates, fatherless homes, drugs, black on black crime, housing issues, ending the glorification of violence in the culture, etc., etc. If you want to destroy someone, keep them worrying about not drinking salt water when they're out there swimming in the ocean around a bunch of sharks, okay? You need to prioritize the real shit. Now, keep it rolling. The third thing I would do is I would, of course, if I wanted to kill black or destroy the black community, destroy black people, I would call for defunding the police. Why'd I do that? Of course, any intelligent human being would know the reason I would do this is because I know that if the police are defunded, then crime goes through the roof. And then the communities of color, they are the ones that are the largest hit. Black people, if the police are defunded, black people are gonna feel the brunt of that fucking decision. And I know that. So if I want to destroy black people, guess what I want to do? I want to defund the police. Guess what Black Lives Matter wants to do? Starting to make sense to you yet? Look, man, the fourth thing I would do is I would turn black people against each other by having an agenda which only cares about a small portion of black people. Think about this. I would turn black people against each other by having an agenda which only cares about a small portion of black people. Now, BLM, Black Lives Matter, the movement, they only show up, and you know this, they only show up if it fits one particular narrative. And that narrative is to make white people and cops look bad. But black people are smart. Black people are very fucking smart. And they're starting to notice Black Lives Matter, the BLM movement, doesn't care about black babies being aborted or black children lost to gang violence or protesting their communities against drugs and gangs who are terrorizing the fucking people in the streets of their actual community. Now, this agenda pulls black people apart because on one hand, you have these black people chanting BLM, BLM, BLM and holding hands, kumbayaing and shit with Antifa and white liberals. But on the other hand, you have actual, real, intelligent, smart black people in the community that are being affected by all this shit. And they're out there saying, why don't you care about us? Why don't you care about cleaning us up or helping us out? Why do you only care about the fucking police? The veil is starting to be lifted on these people's agenda, man. Now, this leads me to my next point. Point number 5. The fifth thing you would do if you were starting a movement and you wanted to destroy black people is you would, ding, 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 you would steal from them. Yeah, man, you would steal from them. and you would never support their communities financially. You would collect hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in donations, and then what would you do with it? Then you would funnel it all back into one particular political party, and you wouldn't give a single dime of it back to the people that you claimed to care about. This way you collect all the money people wanted to help black people with. You intercept it. You're like Deion Sanders. You come out playing one-on-one coverage. You intercept the fucking money. You steal all the money that was meant to help black people, but then you never give them any of the damn money. By that time, all the people are tired. All the people that donated, they're tired of donating to black people, but black people are still hurting because they were never the beneficiaries of all the millions of dollars that was supposed to go to them. But it was Deion Sanders. That's a new term, Deion Sanders. Now, number 6, the sixth thing I would do is I would push Marxism and a radical leftist ideology. This pulls apart the black fundamental religious and moral values that are very strong and prevalent in the black community. Marxism leads to communism. Communism leads to the end of social class, money, and state. It makes all property publicly owned. The idea of a social utopia is fraudulent. And this radical agenda would only destroy blacks further. Capitalism will be gone. Your culture and ability to stand out will be stifled. And any chance you had to dream of being something great will be stripped away from you. They will be at the complete mercy of the government. Imagine fighting all those years to be free. And then you just turn around and vote to have your freedoms just taken away. The 7th thing I would do, check this out. The 7th thing I would do is I would emasculate black men. If I can make black men feminine or take their power away, if I can make black men feminine or take their power away from them, then I realize that black people as a whole have nothing left to fight with. If you don't have your men, if all your men turned into women, now what do you got to fight with? You don't got nothing. So what would I do to complete this, to make sure that this happened? What would I do? I would constantly push an LGBTQ narrative. I would put black men on TV wearing dresses and makeup and shit. I would turn little black boys into girls. I would teach men how to be emotional and promote rainbow love all over my fucking official website. You see what BLM's doing? This has another effect, though. This has another effect as well, which is that it drives black birth rates down. And what better way to destroy black people than to make sure that they're in a relationship that can't do what? That can't produce any fucking offspring, man. That brings me to point number 8. If I really want to destroy black people, one of the most important things I'd have to do right off the bat is I'd have to make sure I'm keeping the black population down at around 13%. That way they can never fight back or rise up against any tyranny or oppression or any fucking bad shit that I want to do to them. We're just going to keep their numbers low. So to effectively achieve this goal, what do I have to do? I start a movement that heavily promotes abortion. And it's always reminding black women, hey, if you don't want it, just throw it away. And I would know in my mind ahead of time that there is a high percentage of women getting pregnant in the black community who aren't married. So this trick is very easy to pull off. Number 9. The number 9 thing I would do is I would make up a huge lie. I'd come up with this claim about systemic racism and the claim that all white people are inherently racist by birth. I'd make whites feel unappreciated and teach black people that whites are bad, 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 and that they're less than them because they're born with this evil, negative attribute. I'd teach them not to acknowledge their hard work, but say they were privileged, and that's why they were successful. I'd get all blacks to talk negative about whites and think that they are superior to whites and that they're victims. And then once I got this going, I would trick black people into believing and chanting it over and over and over and over and over again. I'd ingrain it in their fucking heads, turning it into memes and slogans and having advertisements and famous people get on board. People like Oprah, you know. The reason I would create this lie and start all this is because I know it causes division. And when there's division between black and whites, guess what? Guess what happens when there's division between black and whites? Everyone knows it's the black people that suffer. What the establishment is most afraid of is seeing whites and blacks come together. That is what they don't want to see. That is what scares them. And last but not least, man, number 10 on my list, the number 10 thing I would do if I was starting a movement to destroy black people, you got it. I'd go out in the fucking streets. I'd visually cause disruption. I would protest and riot and destroy shit. I'd burn cities down. I'd burn down businesses. I'd burn down police departments. I would fucking demand shit. The reason I would do this, the reason I would do all this is because I know that the majority of Americans like law and order. They generally like their safety. They are, for the most part, a logical group of people. So when they see me doing all this looting and rioting and destruction and burning shit down, I know after that time has passed, after that time is done, and that pendulum will, in fact, swing back. When all the smoke settles, when that pendulum does, in fact, swing back, it's going to make people have a disdain and anger towards black people that you never knew existed. And that anger will come from every direction, even from the cops, especially from the cops, the ones that you were originally complaining about that were doing you dirty. What's going to happen is all this is going to make policing in black communities far worse than it ever was before. Crime will go up. You're going to see it. It's already happening. Crime will go up. And at first, cops are going to be scared and nervous because, they don't want to get sent to prison. They don't want to get charged and sent to prison for no shit. So at first, crime's going to go up. Then the cops are going to pull back. But then guess what's going to happen? Then the cops will come back 1,000 times more prejudiced than you ever fucking believed they could be. It's a fact, Jack. So, if you wanted to start a movement that destroyed black people, the first thing you would do is these 10 things. And it just so happens, who's doing these 10 things? Could it be? Could it be? I think it is. Black Lives Matter.